No. Aloha no. All right. Okay, we're on. Get this set up here. Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
It's Aloha Friday, Charles. It's Aloha Friday.
Beautiful day today. Little rain this morning, but other than that,
Yeah, the
it
rain is good.
yep.
Rain is rain is good.
Other
Well,
than that, it was relatively good.
well, welcome everybody. Aloha. It is Aloha Friday. I see I'm getting some notifications that we're live on Twitter. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. LinkedIn. I don't know what's happening. It hasn't. It didn't go out on LinkedIn. That's fine. We got YouTube. We got Twitter, and of course Facebook. So welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight. Uh, how you doing, Charles?
Doing fine, thank you.
You
Doing
sound
fine.
loud and clear, like you're right here.
Well, I would like to say something. And this goes out for everyone who, like me, there's many individuals out there that needs to take medications because for some reason or another. Mine is because I am a open heart patient, have been since 2012, and some meds got changed. And depending on what medical plan you're with, if you're prescribed something by one of your specialists, and say you jump medical plans, and well, put it this way, there's a particular medication that was, they said that I had to show that it wasn't beneficial for me, and that went on for 4 months. One of the side effects I had from the meds that they prescribed, which I didn't want to take, uh, I started to retain fluid, and my ankles started to swell, and that was one of the side effects of this meds. And I kept on telling my PCP, hey. So finally, he was convinced, and what took an act of Congress, in like two shakes, boom, I'm back on the meds. And for the first time today, I felt so good. I actually walked with all the crowds. I was able to walk back and forth at the Lihue airport. And I tell you, I really enjoyed the walk today. It was nice. Before, you feel kind of sluggish, and it was all because I had 1 minute. And I know when my body's rejecting something. I mean, you feel it. You feel it. So I just wanted to share, be persistent. If you're taking a certain med and you change medical plans and they say, no, you can't have that med, but you find a reason that you were prescribed it in the first place, be persistent and it'll pay off in the end. For me, it took nearly 4.5 months, but I just was persistent. And, like I said, I refuse to fall ill to some of the side effects that we all who take medications. There are some side effects. So know your body, know, just if you feel out of place, just tell yourself, hey, by reason of deduction, just go down the list, see what works and what doesn't work, and then and that's what I did. I went by reason of deduction, and almost immediately I felt the difference, and that's why I'm happy today on this Aloha Friday.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad you feel better. I'm glad you got that squared away. I know one of my coworkers was just telling me that right Mitch, he didn't change insurance. He didn't change the plan. It was July 1st. There was some changes made to the plan for him, you know, and they called him and said, "Oh, with the recent change in your medical, your this medicine is not covered. So call your doctor and see if you can get a replacement." Now, Charlie,
Yes.
we live in the United States of America, the richest country in the world. We spend $2 billion on insurance premiums. Who the hell is an insurance company to tell your doctor that you need to change your medication because we're not going to cover? I mean, come on, man. You know, that's bizarre. That's why you have insurance, right? Your doctor figures out what is the best medication for you. Yeah, and based on your condition, other medicine, whatever the case may be, they figure out what is the best combination of meds, and then the insurance company says, "We're not going to cover that." So you go back to your doctor and find one that may not work as well or may cause more complications, but that one will cover. think about it though, right? So you take another medication, you don't feel as well, you go to the doctor more often. Who pays the bill? The insurance company spends more money long term. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It should be the doctors dictating your medical plan, your medical, sorry, your medical coverage, your prescriptions, not an insurance company. But that's just how it
Yeah.
goes, man. It's
Oh,
crazy.
oh, see, I am so up and alive and just full of zest that I just almost zest right off the chair.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell you. By the way, I know a lot of you guys asking who we have tonight. We don't have anybody. We did. Dr. T may pop in. I know he's swamped right now, and he may pop in or at some point, maybe not. We can only imagine what it's like for these guys that run 24-hour clinics, especially in Waikiki. And with the COVID, he said with the increase in COVID cases here on Oahu, they're swamped. They're busy, and there was no way he could dedicate the full hour. So, whether it's tonight or another night, he will be on to share his insights. Charlie and I just want to come on tonight and just talk story. A lot of developments today, a lot of information today. We want to thank you guys for always tuning in. And actually, Charlie, I was going to take the night off tonight, and we saw a couple of posts. Hey, who's on tonight? Oh, I can't wait for tonight's show. So I called Charlie, and of course, Charlie can always jump on for all of you. So we're here. We're going to talk story, and I just want to explain that we're going to do a podcast. We didn't last night's show, which was an amazing show. In fact, if you missed it, it's going to be on Hoike. Hoike is going to play that. Hoike is our public access channel here on Kauai. If any of you on other islands, while that meeting that we had, the show we had last night was Kauai centric, the program is available on all islands. So that video is free to anyone that wants to use it to inform and educate. But because of the charts and because of the complex discussions, we're going to start our podcast with the night show. So we'll kick it off at 7 o'clock, and then that will be on the podcast channels shortly. So it'll be fun. I can promise you that. But Charlie told me for relax and keep it cool tonight, so I will. I'm gonna behave.
Well,
I will behave.
I, I wanted to say that, there are some that because, we've always felt, I maybe I'm just one of those individuals like, hey man, whatever floats your boat. But this show has been intense. You gotta admit it. It's we get the information out there. Emotionally, sometimes we are driven because of the frustration that we feel. I mean, it's not hard to see, but yet I when I step back at the end of the night when we're all done, and I just sit in the living room and I just stare at the fan, just doing one of these numbers. I ask myself, what drives a person? Take me for instance. You can have answers, but I gotta find out how did you arrive at that answer. And I used to have that bad problem when I was a traffic investigator. You go to school, you learn all these speed formulas because you need to plug all these formulas into an equation to try to get you as close as possible to the speed at the point of impact. And that will determine, who was at fault a lot of times. If because if everyone is going the speed limit, you should have missed each other. But if somebody sped up, that causes that whole equation to go off filter and bingo, they bang. So I've always been one to ask, okay, I know you got the answer, but why is that? And so last night I was thinking after thinking about all the shows we had now. Why do some people think that this is still not real? And I don't get emotionally upset. It's just that what will it take 10 deaths here in Hawaii a day? Will it take 20? What will it take? Maybe it's not death. Maybe it's Maybe we don't speak the right language. I don't know what it is, but something drives individuals to think that this is still a hoax. Now, I saw an individual. She made a video today and uploaded it, and one of my fellow workers at the airport said, "You got to take a look at this." And she said that the CDC said that the Delta variant was fake. The CDC just released something stating that this Delta variant is just as contagious or maybe even more than chickenpox. And you know how that went. So, and she said that, there is no way of testing. That's why they're making the numbers up. And yet we know that there are a lot of credible doctors in the field of infectious disease that spoke about the testing procedures especially in the genome sequencing, right? They brought it forth to us. And so I asked myself, what more will it take for you to be? Now I understand you don't have to be totally convinced, but all I'm asking is just be logical. We can all agree to disagree, but just be logical about this whole thing. Don't continue down this rabbit hole thinking that you have the holy grail in your house. I mean, we all wish that we had the answers, but yet we're pretty safety minded. I think that's what we've been pushing all along is because we won't be able to stop this variant. At least keep yourself safe so you don't spread it beyond your borders. Because once all that starts, it's like a house of cards. You let that first card fall, you have that domino effect. And at some point, I'm hoping and praying that the state will step in and pull that card out of place so the domino effect stops there. But they're not doing that. And that's kind of really what I wanted to talk about today is how can we go on this logical path to get everybody safe?
Well, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. I did want to recognize, I know a lot of you guys are on this show already, and a lot of you guys do so much in the way of sharing good information. But I did want to, I saw a post today. Samuel Shaw Tattooer. I'm assuming his name is Samuel Shaw, and he's a tattoo artist. But he posted a post today, and he said, effective immediately, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the post in front of me, but he said, I think it's to the effect of, effective today, everybody come in my shop, wear a mask. That's it. End of story. Wear a mask if you want service. And someone came up and said, what about for us vaccinated people? He said, vaccinated, not vaccinated, I don't care. I'm not going to take the time to check. Everybody wears a mask. I just want to say, Samuel, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate people out there that are practicing safe policies and procedures, especially business people. So, Samuel, I just wanted to say, I don't know you, never met you. I appreciate you, my friend. That is the kind of behavior that's going to help us get through this virus. I watched the news tonight. There was some kind of a council meeting in the mainland, and they had to physically remove people because they refused to wear their mask, and they were, again, using the Constitution as the defense. Come on, guys. We're in a pandemic. People are dying. Anyway, so yeah, Samuel, I just want to say mahalo and thank you to all of you that are out there day in, day out, sharing the Aloha Spirit, sharing the safety messages with the Aloha Spirit. That's the way to do it. So anyway, Charlie, as I shared with you before the show, because we are going to start our podcast series using tonight's show, we need a really good intro. So I'll edit out because it'll be an audio podcast. So there is only one guy to get that voice that give you chicken skin. So we're gonna ask Samuel. I'm so sorry. I lost his man, Samuel Shaw. I lost my 64-year-old mother to it. Oh man, prayers, condolences out, man. So sorry to hear that, bro. So sorry to hear that. Wow. Phew, that's the kind of stuff. It's like getting punched in the gut, It really is. Oh man. Take care, my friend. Prayers go out. So for tonight only, because we'll reuse the intro on all of the podcasts. So I need Charlie to do this for us. So bear with us. Charlie's drinking his water. He's getting his vocal cords all ready. It's just the intro that we will use. All
So,
right, Charles,
ready?
I'm ready.
Aloha no, everyone. Welcome to the Mel and Charlie show here on every night that we come on. Hopefully, that you'll get to enjoy some of the information that we bring forth to you. And if there's any questions that you may have, we ask you and invite you to please contact us so we can get the right info for you. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Uncle Charlie Iona, and on the other side of the screen is my
This is
brother.
Mel
Yes, yes,
Raposo in the
yes.
flesh. So yeah, join us every night either on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitter, or here right here on this podcast. So all right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All
Oh,
right, that was the intro. I'll edit it out, clean it up, and it'll be all cool. And that'll be the podcast intro going forward. So all right, Charlie, it is 7 o'clock PM. We have a ton of people on, and
yes.
we have 622 cases today.
Ooh,
I just
ooh.
want to, well, hang on. I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain.
I am rather. I read about it today, but that's a lot. That's a lot.
Now, as usual, they softened it up and said, "Well, but you got to remember that's also counting the cases that we didn't count over the last 2 days." So let me just put it all in perspective real quick. 622 cases was reported today. Three more deaths. They focus on the 622. The three deaths kind of fall to the wayside. In addition to the two yesterday and the three the day before and all of that, we have a ton of deaths that have been happening over the last week or two. What they did say though, the 3 day average of COVID in Hawaii was 314 per day, which comes out to 942 cases over the last 3 days. So do the math. My non-scientific estimate is that we had very close to 400 cases today, if not a little over 400 cases today. And you add that to the few cases that we had, but 2 days ago they reported only 84. Yesterday was 200 some odd. Anyway, we are at the average of 314 a day. That is a significant increase of what we have been seeing. I think the bottom line is this, people. Dr. Altenberg, Dr. Chiba from UH, their models are coming out to be true. I guess my only question, Charlie, is where have all these people been? Where have our decision makers been? You know, uh, like I posted today, our viewers are not surprised. We may be pissed off, but we're not surprised because the experts that we've had on the show have prepared us for this day. We knew this day was going to come. And even after today, with the high numbers today, listening to Dr. Libby Char, listening to Governor Ige in their little interviews, listening to the Lieutenant Governor, I still don't get the sense like there's very much concern. Nothing's going to change. They're watching trends, but nothing's going to change. We're just going to wait and see. And I think that is a current concern for me. And more so, Mayor Harry Kim called me this morning and he said, you guys got to keep this moving because we got to get the information out. So that's our focus, Charlie, you, me, and all of our viewers,
Mm.
making sure we share good information out with the public. But what are your thoughts about the numbers, man?
Well, first, you said something that's very striking, and that is before my whole thing was messaging, right? So I shifted from messaging to the word urgency. What triggers that? What triggers someone to become urgent about matters? Because the way I took it, and this is just Uncle Charlie examining what was said today and just giving my manao from my gut. this is what I'm saying. We have to look at, I look at these numbers and I tell myself, okay, you're on standby. When will you be convinced or allow the numbers to get to a point that say, okay, we got to do something now? Could it be possible? But at that point, it will be too late because our community will be so saturated with this variant that we won't have time to effectively take care of business like we're supposed to. That is what I'm concerned about. I mean, they make it, one can only imagine, yeah, they got medical SWAT teams standing by on all parts of the island that can move rapidly to kill this thing off. Well, if they did have these units or whatever you want to call them, don't you think they would have done it already? Don't you think they would have already stamped it out? But they're not. It's almost like it's beyond kicking the can down the road. It's, have you ever played hide and seek by yourself in a dark room? And then you wonder, hey, where's everybody? Hello, hello, right? Because everybody left you in the dark room by yourself. That's what it's becoming. It's becoming like, okay, people, taxpayers of Hawaii, we got your money already. Now you go fend for yourself. Don't you get that feeling? So
Absolutely.
that's my critique on what I think is happening. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you know, you get in office. Well, now you can talk about that because you've been in office how many years? 14 years?
12
So like
years.
the 12 years. So you've been in office. You know what it's like. You know when the heat is turned on. You know when the heat is backed off, right? But you've been one that always leading the charge. There's some individuals that have taken the free ride because they said, hey, I stay neutral and I take credit with credit becomes available if it makes me look good. But if things go sour, I don't say nothing. One of those things. And I just thinking right now that there are so many things going on that I hope and pray that the state really has a handle on this. And that's why I asked that question of Dr. Altenberg the other night. What is that threshold before that light switch goes off? We don't know.
Well, you bring up a good point. And today on the discussion with Dr. Libby Char, prior to her press conference with the governor, but when they had her alone, at least I know once, maybe twice, the questions were asked of her about where is that threshold? At what point do we do things? And she basically said, we provide our findings and our recommendations to the policymakers and they make the decisions. And that is where we are having an issue. See, the policymakers, you nailed it, Charlie. You nailed it because policymakers are politicians. She didn't want to say politicians. She was being professional. She said policymakers, which are the politicians. The politician has to weigh everything out, right? Especially those that are looking for running for office or whatever. They got to make sure that what they say and what they do don't ruffle too many feathers, and they be very careful. And I was kind of surprised when when Governor Ige came on, because unless he's running for office somewhere else that I'm not aware of, he's still, while he says he's concerned, and Dr. Char says she's concerned, I have seen absolutely zero action to coincide with their concern. In fact, Governor Ige was asked today uh, about. Remember, he's the guy that said at 70% he's going to lift all restrictions, all. And he was asked that today. Has that changed because of the variant and because of the amount of cases and because of the dangers and the new findings? Mayor Kim called me this morning to tell me that over the last 48 hours, more specifically the last 24 hours, the game has changed. The rules should change. But anyway, Governor Ige says no. He's still set on 70% vaccination. He's going to lift the restrictions. I was shocked Because I think a more appropriate answer would have been, it's too early to tell. If it stays as is, 70%, we're not reducing any restrictions. In fact, I am considering adding restrictions because right now, Charlie, what we have learned from experts from around the world is that what you need to do on the onset of an outbreak, which is what we're beyond the onset. Onset was a week ago. But as soon as you have this outbreak, what do? Isolate. You isolate the virus, meaning you stop the providing opportunities for this variant to spread, meaning you limit the gatherings, you require the masks. Charlie, I don't know if you see the internet, but there's concerts with 1,000, 2,000 tickets being sold as we speak. We got one on Kauai this weekend. There has been no action from our government to limit the spread of this virus except telling people to go get vaccinated. That's it. That's the extent of their action. We got to get more vaccinated. We got to get more of you got to get vaccines. We know that. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, we know that. What are you going to do now, in addition to getting people to get vaccinated, to stop this virus from spreading? They have done nothing, Charlie. Zero. Zero. And to me, it's irresponsible. I think it's even negligent, man. I think it's even negligent. I'm appalled, actually, that we didn't hear more. I thought we'd have a plan that if tomorrow we don't, if these cases don't drop by tomorrow, or that we're going to implement more restrictions. I don't get it. I don't. But that's where we're at today.
Well, you just said something that reminds me of a house with a leaky roof. If you do the job well, you got long-term use. I mean, your house will be protected for a long time, right? If you got junk contractors, all you're going to be doing is compounding the problem. You're just going to be adding on roofing paper one after another and still not finding the cause of the leak. Next thing you know, you're going to have a roof that's about maybe 6 feet thick. So then the leak not going to be from the roof anymore. It'll be from the caving in of that roof because it cannot hold the weight of all that roofing paper being stacked on. You got to do it right. And that's the thing that I am most concerned about because I can't tell if we're doing it right. This is what I do know. I work at the airport every day and I pray for the workers that I manage, which is a lot. We have a lot of workers. We ensure the safety of the travelers, may it be visitors or may it be residents. That one, while standing in line, they are safe from all vehicular traffic. So now we actually shut down one lane to create another pedestrian pathway because there's construction going on and they brought the construction zones so close that it's only maybe like 1 to 2 body width and it's backed up. And luckily, TSA, they'll open additional check-through lanes. But you should see all 3 lanes are just back to back. It's just people by the tons. So some may be asking, so Uncle Charlie, so what's the point? The point is this. You can control your safety net. I can control my safety net. When people are just fixed that they want to get on a plane and they have no other worries in the world, guess what happens? There's no such thing as social distancing at an airport because everybody wants to get through the checkpoint and get in. And even if the plane hasn't arrived, they want to make sure psychologically that they're there to see the plane pulling in to the jetway, and that's going to be their plane that's going to take them home. And while they do that, guess what? There's no social distancing. There's a lot of mask wearing, but there's also some that don't wear a mask. Okay? So those are the kind of things that I'm concerned about. And so like you talk about the concert, right? People are just so fixated. They want normalcy. They're going to make their own normalcy. But that means that they're rolling the dice when they get indoors with thousands of people crammed in like sardines, right? You just pack them in there. So if this virus now is highly transmissible, airborne, don't you think? You remember some concerts when somebody starts to throw a big ball and they keep on hitting it and it bounces from one end of the arena in front of the concert stage to the other? Don't
Mhm.
you think that this airborne virus does the same thing too? It just keeps on going, thousands of it just bouncing around in there, and it will land on an unsuspected person who happens to breathe in. So therefore, it's no longer bouncing; it's going in you. Those are the kind of stuff I'm concerned with.
Well, they're saying if you took a test within 24 hours of the concert and it's negative, we know a 24-hour test is useless. We already know that. We know that. Um, or if you come in with a vaccination card, and yet the studies are now showing, and that's where the CDC came out and said that the game has changed because they found out now the data that's coming in. You remember this variant is relatively new, and we're starting to get the data, and it's starting to show that vaccinated people can pass this virus like just as easy as an unvaccinated person. Now, again, Charlie, we have been informed of this by many other doctors. Yeah. Now, maybe our Hawaii leadership, our Hawaii, I'm not going to mention names because I don't like to get booted, but um, we're telling us we're totally immune, that you couldn't pass this thing. Now we know you can. So doesn't that change the game for concerts? Wouldn't you think in the middle of an amazing spike that I understand we want to get back to normal, and I understand that we want to have concerts, but maybe 3 months ago when the numbers were flat, okay, you go get a concert, you show vaccination, you wear a mask. Um, Not now. And I understand it takes a lot of money to put on a concert. I understand you sold the tickets, and it's going to be a pain in the collie to have to refund. I understand all of that, but are you going to let an event we saw what happened in Massachusetts, right, Charlie? Today, the report came out, Massachusetts, a lot of travelers came into that town to party. It was a huge party weekend. It wasn't the 4th of July, it was just a party weekend. 74% of the positives were fully vaccinated. That tells you that you can spread and catch this virus even if you're vaccinated. Now, doesn't that make you think that maybe we should limit the gatherings, especially in a gathering like a concert where people are yelling, they're screaming, they're dancing, they're hugging. It is a prime place to pass the virus. But no mention. The only mention was go get vaccinated. We need to raise the vaccination rate. The other thing, the governor said we got to be careful. We should probably stay home. I know Lieutenant Governor said this a few days ago. We should take a timeout for 2 weeks. It's dangerous right now, but they're going to let our kids go to school next week. Our kids under 12 are not vaccinated. 100% of the classroom is going to be unvaccinated, except for possibly the teacher. My point is this, Charlie. You have a governor, lieutenant governor, that's telling everybody how we should all be careful and stay home. Don't go out. Avoid gatherings because this variant is very contagious and dangerous. But they refuse to acknowledge the safety of our kids, and they refuse to step back and say, let's extend or postpone the opening of school, maybe for another 2 weeks, until we get a better understanding of this variant. No, none of that. Nope. We believe it's important for kids to be in school. I agree with that 100%, but it's not safe. Remember, today's number, they asked Dr. Char, how many of those 622 cases were kids? 25%. 25% of the positive cases were kids. And when people tell me, yeah, but kids don't get really sick, kids don't die, what is your point? they can transmit, they can get sick, and they can die. So that to me was the, you think about 25% of 620, what is that? About 150, more than 150 cases are kids. And we're going to turn them loose in classrooms next week. I, I am truly worried and concerned. I posted today, you know, you can complain and grumble on Facebook. You can beg the governor to change that. It's not going to happen. Keep your kids at home. Don't let your kids go to school, especially if they're not vaccinated. Especially if they're not vaccinated.
Well, I was just thinking about something. We're referring to, and we're trying to be very, or should I say, polite about it. So, but here's the deal. If you or I, this okay, if I was governor of this great state of ours, and you weren't, and both you and I get sick at the same time, and we both have to go to the ER, guess who they're gonna take first? No questions asked. They're gonna take you, or they're gonna take me.
They'll probably take you.
Okay, that's the point I'm driving at. It's easy for some people to talk because they got carte blanche because of the positions they hold. And all I'm saying is, hey, let's level the playing field right now so people don't have to be driven to the point when they're going to have to decide who gets first dibs getting into the ER and who doesn't. Right now, you're playing with, oh, the hospitals can handle. Okay. But when it comes down to fighting the dust, who gets to get on that gurney and gets wheeled in to an available room? Somebody's going to be left out in the cold. And nobody should be left out in the cold. And how do you do that? If your tub is all overflowing, you don't leave the spigot on, the faucet on, and get water and throw water out the window to keep the level down. What do? You turn off the damn water until things come under control. That is not what's happening right now. We are letting that tub fill to the brim. And people are saying, it gets to the top, we can manage. Well, can we? Apparently, we're not doing a good job right now, but can we? And then, who do you depend on? You can stay behind a camera like us. Don't be the first one to admit. You can stay behind a camera. But who's the one busting the Ocoles day in and day out? It's the men and women who dedicate their lives in saving people. Why are we putting them in this position? They're the ones telling us that, hey, something needs to be done. But it seems like nobody's listening to them. Anybody that has a say that can change things right now, they are not listening to the men and women who work in these medical facilities. May it be Kahuku General, may it be Queens, may it be, Straub, or even Wahiwa General, Maui Memorial, Wilcox, here on Kauai. It can be any place. They're crying out, saying that how they're afraid. But people in positions that can make a decision, that can make immediate changes right now to slow the spread down, it doesn't seem like they're thinking about it. And that's something that we all have to pay attention. Because guess what, folks? If they decide, and it's happened before, I had enough, and they decide to walk, just when you're getting wheeled in, guess what? You stay in the hallway until there's somebody available to take care of you. You stay in that hallway. And as the clock ticks by, don't you think sometimes if somebody's real serious to be hospitalized, then maybe precious life is leaving them at that critical junction? I sure as hell don't want to be in that place or at that point. because it's not enough people. But how do we satisfy all parties? Show a little compassion. I mean, they always say, right? We have to get the experts to advise us. Just like, the state and the county, they bring on experts, right? You want to build something, bring on the experts, bring on the planners, right? And they listen to them. Well, here's one thing that we should be listening to the experts. Nobody is even getting anywhere near that who can make a difference.
Charlie, when did you ever see Dr. Altenberg on the news? Dr. Chiba was on the other night. I was kind of shocked actually, because she kind of pegged it. She said exactly what needed to be said, but you're not going to hear it. You're not going to hear our leadership, our state leadership, listen to Dr. Altenberg or Dr. DeWarkin, those that are critical of the safe travel program, or those that promote the isolation of the virus, those that are, Dr. Altenberg said that he wouldn't send his kids to school. Uh, these are the experts in the field. But why aren't our leaders listening to them? We heard this tonight on the news. Queens Hospital came out. One of the directors or one of the whatever, he had to have been a spokesperson or whatever he was. He came out and he said that Queens Hospital has put in a request with FEMA that they need assistance. They need assistance. They need 100 nurses right now to deal with the demand, that their nurses are stretched thin. Ironically, a few nights ago, we had the, I'm not going to forget, Daniel Ross from the Hawaii Nurses Association um, spill his soul on our show, which eventually got deleted. But I think enough people saw it and made noise about it. All of a sudden, Queens is out saying we need to hire 100 nurses now. The ironic part is that this morning I saw a post that I'm not going to mention names, but one of our state leaders said that Queens said they have the capacity to deal with double the number of cases. That was this morning. And then this evening, Queens is saying we need 100 nurses right now. You see, again, I go back to why can't our leaders just tell us the truth? Why are our leaders constantly minimizing the dangers of this virus? Why are they constantly ignoring? When you watch these press conferences or these interviews and you see all the questions going up, questions that are valid questions, but they don't get asked by the media. It's like they have been told what questions are taboo. And many of those questions are exactly the questions that the public wants to know, but it never gets answered. So why is that, Charlie? I mean, why are we so we meaning the leadership? Why are they so hesitant to just tell us the truth and tell us that instead of we had 622, but you got to remember that's carryovers from the last 2 days, versus 622 cases are a serious problem, and the curve is going up at a dangerous spike, and this is the facts. I don't get it. It's always minimizing. It's no, we believe it's safe. Okay, you just told everybody that this variant is dangerous. It's more contagious. It's that it's spreadable by people that are vaccinated and not vaccinated. It's serious enough that we cannot open our state buildings. All of the services now are either online or on the phone. It's too dangerous to open up our buildings, but we send in our kids to school. You know why, Charlie? Because there's no union that represents kids. There's no union. These kids have no representation. They just gonna go to school, and a lot of the parents are gonna have no choice. They're gonna have to send them anyway. And I'm saying that you got to do what you can to make sure. Send a message to the state. You are sending our kids into a dangerous environment when your own state employees you will not let go in. You will not let them come in contact with other people. So sorry, we still have a lot of employees teleworking because it's dangerous, but it's not dangerous enough to keep our kids out of school in the middle of a pandemic that has an outrageous spike happening right now. That baffles my brain, Charles. That baffles my brain, like totally. And I guess for me, it's I don't understand when you earlier you mentioned the word logical, Charlie, right? The logical. Well, why can't we all be logical? That is a heck of a good question because I don't think a reasonable person yank a person out of the street. Just take a lay person and you put the parameters. You explain to them the facts, and I cannot imagine a lay person, reasonable person, come up and say, "Yeah, I agree that it's too dangerous to open up the state buildings, but it's perfectly fine to open up the schools." I don't know. Is that logical? I don't think so. I don't think so. So we wait and see. I can tell you, if I had kids, I would do whatever it took to not let them go. I mean, if I had to take off from work to stay home with them, I would. That's just me. I know some of you feel comfortable with sending the kids off because they're kids, they're young, they're resilient, they don't get sick, they don't die. I would research that before I send my kids in. And what bothers me is we have leaders, we have experts, we have a Dr. Libby Char who says we pass on our information, and the policymakers makes the decisions. Wow, wow, it is what
Well,
it is, man.
why don't we do this? Because I think it's ripe to see a comparison, and I think I know how it's going to turn out. Why don't we bring back the testing system 3 days after arrival? We test again to see the same way we put up those drag nets at the forefront to prevent the virus from coming in, right? Because Hawaii did a pretty darn good job. We held the numbers down. Is there any fear if we re-implement that? Possibly. But guess what? If we're talking about stopping the spread, flattening the curve, you got to go back to what's proven. You got to go back to what's proven to work. We already know what works because we have raw data that shows that when this county went into one of the strictest travel uh, prevention programs to stop the spread from coming in, it inconvenienced a lot of people. But guess what, folks? It worked. Now we are basically living in a compromise. Say it, understand it, but don't do nothing about it. So it can be left with those policymakers that their conscience is clear because hey, we put it out there. They put it out there. They should have social distance. No, right now, gang, we need more than social distancing. We need more than mask wearing. We need government to help put up that wall right now, just so this thing dies down. They're not giving anybody a chance to fight it properly. Because every day you fight some, you get some more coming in.
Yeah.
And that goes straight to what I said about the bathtub or the tub, right? You let the water keep flowing in, and instead of turning off the faucet, you would rather leave the water on, but take a bucket and throw water out just to keep the level below a certain point. That is crazy. That is crazy.
I'm gonna I'm gonna explain the reason why in one word, in three letters: ego. You see, our state government, our state leaders committed early on some things that rather than own up and um, just whatever, however you want to explain it, that circumstances have changed, uh, causing us to change our direction. Um, they will never do that. They will never admit that the unsafe travel program is not working. They will never admit that because they have put in too much. They have made too many commitments. They came out too strong. We know for a fact, based on the studies that were done by several organizations of experts, that the program doesn't work. It lets too many infected people in. We know that. But no one in the leadership is going to come out and acknowledge that. They still today will tell you that the Safe Travels program, I call it the Unsafe Travels program, is safe, and it's not. We have not heard one word today. All we hear from the government, from our governor, lieutenant governor, is that only 2% of the travelers are positive. Only 2% of the cases. Ah, man. You know, it's insane to think that out of 33 or 35,000 people a day coming into this state, that only 2% of our cases are from the travelers. Well, again, Charlie, I hate repeating myself, but they're not getting tested. We know for a fact, and this is without dispute. Well, if you look at the numbers of Kauai today, right? 13 more today. What was it? 5, I think 5 was travel related. They're coming in. How much harm could be done if the next 2 weeks we implemented real safe travels with the testing? What if for the next 4 weeks we did that? We know one thing, right? Kauai, our numbers were 0, right? We enter safe travels, our numbers jump. We get out of safe travels, the numbers go to 0. What does that tell you? Safe travels is not safe. In fact, our virus came into Kauai from travelers. Remember, I didn't say tourists, I said travelers, because it's returning residents, it's residents going on vacation as well as visitors. The difference is that the visitor comes, hangs out for a week, and leaves. How many people now they're saying that the infection rate, just watching tonight on the news, what the original version of this COVID was, you infect between 2 and 3 people. Now they're saying with the Delta, one infected person infects 9 people. Okay, so that visitor comes in and he infects a bunch of people on our island, and then they leave. They don't get tested. We never get them counted, and then our local people get positives. And okay, eight of them from travel related, or 5 was from travel related. And you'll see every day we get a report. You'll see 2, 3, or 4 of them source unknown. We cannot track the source of this infection. Hello, come on, people. We're bringing in virus from the mainland, whether it's visitors or residents. It's coming in without any safety net in the way of a test. Charlie, your bathtub cannot drain fast enough to accommodate the water coming in. Period. That's just how it is. And I don't understand, not one mention about reinstating testing. Not one mention. Because only 2% of the positives are visitors. Irresponsible, I think is negligent. And I just, we've heard enough experts say they did the analysis using actual data to when we had testing to show that this safe, I call the unsafe travel program, doesn't work. But the egos of the people that designed it and sold it to the people, the egos are too big for them to come back and acknowledge that it's not working. And that in fact, it is part of the reason why our spikes are happening, because we are bringing in virus quicker than we can isolate the virus on the island. That's how it works. That's exactly how it works. But you think we'll see a testing implemented? I mean, if I was a governor, testing would have been implemented 2 weeks ago. I don't care if you're inconvenienced. I don't care if it costs you not $100 to take a test and wait before you come Hawaii. Non-essential travel, vacations in a pandemic, take a test. Take a test. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's also look at, and I seem to be relaxing so much that I hope I'm not falling asleep. But let's take a look at this. because of COVID, there's been there seems to be this chain reaction of events that has really hit the state hard. One, like shipping. Okay. I tried to buy furniture through the local Hopeco, which is part of Office People. So I had to shift and go online. Taking over the security for a large airport, we need new furniture. We need uh, equipment that's not failing our personnel, like chairs, like desks. You know that I can't even bring that in right now. I'm waiting for cars. I'm waiting for cars right now. I was told it'll be coming in on the 19th. Guess where it's coming from? The big island of Hawaii was ordered last month and it's still not here yet because of COVID. So what does that mean? Did COVID um, hurt the operations of shipping so bad that not enough employees working the docks or to unload the material off these barges? I don't know. And I'm not putting blame on anybody. I'm just saying there's, again, this domino effect that one of the things that's hit hard, and unfortunately, because we live in the middle of the ocean, we either depend on air or sea. So I needed to send some equipment that was sent to me by mistake, 5 pieces, about 40, about 6 pounds total, 5 pieces, put in two separate boxes, a standard air cargo. It was $80. I went, okay, at least I know it's gonna get there. But is that because of COVID? COVID, I mean, businesses are being allowed to use COVID as a reason why their prices have gone up, I guess. And I'm not gonna question it. I'm just laughing. I said, boy, that means that when this is all said and done, I can almost assure everyone it's not gonna go down in price. They got just a higher plateau to start from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gonna start off at a higher plateau and it's just gonna get higher and higher. And that's the cost of uh, living here in the beautiful state of Hawaii. Now, if we don't watch out, everyone's fears may come true. And that is when we have outside investors will come in and buy up everything. And then we who call this home, we who were born here, we will not have a home to live in. You just have to be careful. But again, not to stress this thing out, it's due to COVID. So again, with my mind going 280, how does COVID affect, you know, certain things in the markets? Is it because, uh, say, like bread products? Is it affecting the bakeries, the ones that make the bread, so much that they don't have enough workers in that bakery to turn out the loaves of bread? It could be, but now you look, the shelf sometimes it's just empty, not enough bread. Or they'll bring in bread that's previously frozen, and you know how that tastes after a while, right? While it's defrosting on the shelf. So, you get all of these things going on, and you just ask yourself, I believe some is legitimately caused by COVID, and that yet there are some instances where somebody is using COVID as an excuse. Because why? It's hard to defend. Just use the word, hey, COVID. Oh, yeah, I understand, bro. Okay, yeah, yeah. Pay $5 more. Thank you.
Well, I thought it was funny that McDonald's and Burger King, no more burgers,
Yeah, yeah.
out, and that is because of the Matson had shut down on Kauai because of COVID.
Mhm.
Okay, so a case or two of COVID shut down the entire supply chain for our island. And I hate to keep going back to the school, but that but we're not giving the kids the same protections that we give to like Matson or anywhere else that shuts down when you get a case. And I'm really baffled about that. KFC no more chicken either. Laurel said, "Oh my God,
No,
Lord have mercy."
but no. Let's look at this. You just said it. It shut down. The case is just shut down shipping. Yet we get larger cases on the outside, not involved with shipping,
Hmm.
and they don't seem to be shutting down anything else.
Absolutely.
They just say, hey, I mean, like, yeah, Matson, they got few cases. They elected to shut down. Hey, right on. But out here, got to be at least 10,000 before we shut this state down. Right now, we're far from that. We're getting close to 1,000. We got 9 more thousand to go.
Yeah. And then that's the thing, Charlie. They cannot give us a threshold. They will not give us a threshold because I tell you right now, and this is just again just my investigative brain telling me that these people actually think that they can write it out. These people are policymakers, aka politicians, meaning governor, lieutenant governor, whoever else up there that decides when we do things. They honestly think that we are going to ride this out and things are going to get better. Uh, Even though we're seeing these things just go crazy in other places of the country and in our own country, they actually, I honestly believe, they think that if we just write it out, we just pander to the people, we just say nice things and don't tell them how serious it really is. We just got to write it out for a few days and it's going to go away. Somebody is telling them that spike is going to spike down in a couple of days. No worry. Don't get freaked out. Don't interrupt the tourism industry. You don't want to go crazy and it'll cause people to cancel their vacations to Hawaii. We cannot have that. We're raking in the dough right now. Now is not the time to shut us down, Governor. That's what's happening. That's my own observation. That's what I think.
Well,
Because again, Charlie, if you are the governor and you are responsible for the health and safety of all your residents across this state, and you get this many cases, you get this many admissions into the hospitals, you get Queens Hospital begging for more nurses, mm, and you're not stopping the water from going in the tub. I think they honestly believe that, and I've heard the lieutenant governor say it more than once that we just got to hang on for another week or two. The numbers will drop drastically. By what study shows you? Where did that happen? Where in the country did that happen? What do they think? Why do they think Hawaii, the people of Hawaii, are any different than the people of Massachusetts or anywhere else in this country that this thing is blowing up? They actually believe, in my opinion, that they can ride this out and just pander to the people because they think we're stupid and then it'll go away. Well, unfortunately, it's not going to go away. If safety measures, if restrictions aren't implemented, it's not going to go away. It's only going to get worse. People are going to die, and then guess what? Then they will be in a position where they got to lock down. See, right now they could implement little restrictions. They could do the testing. They could do testing for incoming travelers, trans-Pacific, or even inter island for that matter. They could do the little things to lock down the virus, but they're going to take us to a point where they will have no choice but to do a stay at home or a safer at home or whatever they want to call it, soften it, basically lock us down. And that is what I do not want to see. Because then it's not good. So why not do what you got to do to isolate and contain this virus now rather than wait till you'll be at a point where you have no choice? And I thought they were smarter than that. I really did. I had a lot of respect for a lot of these guys. I just don't anymore. I don't.
well, you was talking about the spike and they're waiting for it to come down. It's like a plane, right? You let it keep on flying until it run out of gas, the plane will come down. But This virus is showing us it ain't running out of gas.
Oh, brother, it's
It
fueling
ain't
up, Charlie.
huh?
It's fueling up.
Yeah. I
Can you
mean,
imagine? Can you imagine, Charlie? You're a patrol cop. You get called to an accident, a traffic accident. You get there, and you see a person. They got a pretty good gash on the head, and he's bleeding profusely from the head. And you say, "Well, he's bleeding." You call dispatch, and you say, "You know what? You can cancel the medic because I don't want to create a stir. I don't want to create a traffic issue. I don't want to create a problem. I don't think he's bleeding that bad. I think, you know what? I think he can drive himself to the hospital. We'll have his wife drive him to the hospital. Don't send the medic. Yeah, because he's not bleeding that bad." That's kind of how it is. It's these guys are saying, "Yeah, we're at 622. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not that bad. Let's just wait." Let's and as Libby Char said, straight out of her lips, she said, "We're watching the trends." Okay. Hey,
what is there to watch when you can't
exactly.
even what is there to watch when you can't even count your tests properly? I mean, what is there to watch? Because it's telling me you guys goofed up a system of counting. Therefore, you put it on a back burner. But I guess somebody went, hey, you either tell them now or I will.
Yeah,
And then all of a
exactly.
sudden it came up. That's what happened. So somebody said, you keep on farting around. I'm going to tell the world what I know. And boom, the thing came up. I mean, and I guess the blow to this all is 600 is wow. What if it was 1,000? You see, we've been experiencing this from day when this whole thing started. It was real time, like Hawaii. Numbers were coming out real time. And when the numbers started to shift, there was a delay. So now everybody had to think, okay, so basically on Wednesday it's for Monday. I mean, you have to go through all this rigmarole. Now it's like, okay, we're gonna black out. Everything is a-okay. E como mai, come to Hawaii. And then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we found this on the shelf, but we forgot to tell you that there's actually 622 cases.
Charlie, I honestly would agree. I honestly would agree with that. I mean, what else explanation? We're in a crisis. We are in one of the toughest crises this state has ever seen in our lifetime. And we cannot get our numbers on a daily basis. Well, Kauai does, right? And you cannot tell me that, oh, um, Kauai is easily manageable because you only get 70,000 people. Well, the computer does the work. You input all the tests, all, I mean, come on, I'm not stupid, people. I'm not dumb. And then 2 days later, what's funny though, Charlie, and this is where the whole problem is trust. Yeah, I have no trust, which is unfortunate. I wish I could trust them. Remember, it's 2 days delayed, right? Right? That's what they say, right? It's 2 days delayed, and we know that the numbers for Saturday and Sunday, which comes out on Tuesday and Wednesday, are lower because the lab doesn't operate at full speed. Well, okay, first of all, why not? When you're in a crisis, when you're in a pandemic, when you have increasing numbers, why wouldn't that lab work right around the clock?
Because, and I'll tell you, this is what I found out. I had a dream. I had a dream. The reason being, there's not enough funding for the lab. Why? Because it's going to the rail.
Well, but Charlie, okay, you're an investigator. You see, and that's part of the problem, right? As our nature is not to intentionally go and try to pick stuff apart, but we notice it, we recognize it,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful I have that. But that's years and years and years and years of experience. But so they come out today. This is the part where I know that they're full of it. They come out today and they say we have 622 cases, right, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's counting the carryovers from the last 2 days. You told us there's a 2 day delay. So if it's the 2 day delay, how could you get the numbers from yesterday and today? I mean, yesterday and the day before, if there's a 2 day delay. So what now? Are we caught up?
No,
Is that what you're saying? Are we caught up now because you magically was able to get those numbers out? Or is your 2 day overflow from 4 days ago? See, I don't
no.
trust them. I don't trust them because
This is what's
how
going to
hard is
happen.
it?
This is what's going to happen. You're on the right track, but the numbering, if given what we saw with Lee Altenberg and our good friend Brian Ingalls have been plugging in to their Back to the Future computer there, watch what we're going to see in a couple of days from now. You think 622 is bad? You wait a couple of days from now. Then you're
Well,
going to see. Because if we're averaging 314, they told us we're at 264, then that means that 36 is missing someplace. How can you be averaging at 314 and above? That means you're only on high number a couple of days from now. And don't be shocked, folks. We're just saying that, I mean, I'm not a gambler, but boy, if you can be like Rain Man and you can find this stuff out, you be a dangerous person. It
well,
will definitely come
um,
and shock us.
yeah. Let me see. You remember Altenberg was on, and I'm going to ask him to come on next week. Uh, I really
Mhm.
am because I think what did I do with that? I don't think I have the chart in here. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. Hold on here. Um, Hold on, I gotta download it and open it up real quick. You guys, and this is my point. We have people in our own community, our own society, our own state, experts, right? Experts in our state that have been telling us all along what was going to happen, and we have non-experts in our state that refuses to listen. But let me just share this real quick because I'm gonna take us back to what, a week ago.
Mhm.
Now, Dr. Altenberg, and remember now, this is not a projection. This was an if then analysis. But look at what he said. The RT was 1.34, 60% vaccination rate, which is where we're at, starting off at 100 cases, which is what it was, the average when Dr. Altenberg did the model. But look at what he said. By the by the start of school, the first week of August, we'd be at 200 cases a day, basically doubled. By the end of August, we'd be at 800 cases a day. Now, I would say that's pretty damn spot on. I would say that's pretty damn spot on. And that is with 60% vaccination rate, which is where we're at, and the mediation in place. The the masks, the social distancing, the disinfecting, the avoid gatherings, and all of that. Now, if we go to no mediation, if we remove restrictions, which is what the governor is thinking about doing when we hit 70%, but just look at that 60% vaccine rate without any restrictions, 2,000 cases a day by the end of August. Now, these numbers have since been revised in Dr. Chiba's model, which we're trying to get Dr. Chiba on. My point is this: we have people within our own resource bag, our basket of experts at UH that we should be tapping into, that we should be utilizing, as we meaning our policymakers, aka politicians, when they start thinking about which way we're going to go. They're not utilizing the science. They're using politics. People are going to get sick and people are going to die because they're using politics instead of science. And Facebook, you want to kick me off? Go ahead, because we're on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. Anyway, that is the facts, guys. That's the facts. And I appreciate Altenberg. We'll get Dr. Altenberg on next week so he can kind of give us an assessment of what the heck is going on.
Mm.
I mean, I think that'll be enlightening when we see the numbers. Because Charlie, I'm afraid that next week we'll be in the four digits. We'll be in the thousands. We're gonna crack that 1,000 mark, and I think people will freak out, and you're gonna see a lot of backpedaling and a lot of damage control by our decision makers. We are see. We're
You
gonna
remember
see.
when the numbers were smaller? We had
Mhm.
questions about contact tracing, right? And you remember they said at one point, if the numbers get to a certain point, they wouldn't be able, it would just be too hard.
Hmm.
Do you consider these one of the times that it's just too hard to contact trace at this point?
What was that?
You remember they said that it's going
Yeah,
to get
no.
to a point that
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to contact trace. So I'm
right.
asking, numbers that's coming up now, do you think they're having a hard time contact tracing?
I think in fact, they're only contact tracing the positives. They're only contact tracing that very narrow, that very small circle around the positives. They're not doing any extended contact tracing. That's why the numbers are down. Remember, they estimated that the numbers could be, what was it? I forget what the number was. It was astronomical based on the fact that we're not doing the second level, third level contact tracing. We're not. And that's how you find when you see a report that we got two unknown sources, they can't, they don't have the people. Remember, they reduced the size of the contact tracing. So yeah, they're struggling. And this is a result. So you'll have a lot of, and again, what adds to that problem is that with the variant, you have a lot of asymptomatic positives running around that don't even know. And that is where I think that's where we're going to have a problem.
I hope when this is all said and done, you're going to get some people walking around giving each other a high five. That a boy, we did it. You didn't do nothing. You did it on the backs of the people of Hawaii that had to suffer through this. That's how you did it. Okay. In this Western civilized culture of ours, with the expertise that we have, we could be taking on this thing because, hey, they created the vaccine. They can charge for it and knock this puppy out. But we're not even getting near that because why? We don't want to scare away the visitors. We don't want to scare away the travelers. Okay, I get it. But guess what? We get so much travelers right now. There's not enough cars to rent to them. Guess what? We get so much people standing in line to get into a restaurant. No enough room in a restaurant. Yeah. Guess what? They get tours going out. No enough rooms on the boats to take them out. So what experience are we giving these people? If that's your focus right now, because you're really not paying attention to this virus. All I'm saying is this: we're trying to give them a worthwhile experience of them coming to Hawaii. We're doing a poor job at it right now. How do I know? I come out of the airport, I go early, I come out late, and I see some people from like maybe 1 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock just sitting there. And I said, "Are you folks waiting for somebody?" They said, "Yeah, we're waiting for a ride." I said, "Did you call Uber or anything?" There's just not enough Ubers.
Hmm.
So I mean, so what are we doing? Is there any control? And yet people get so disillusioned. They're packed like sardines sitting on the curb. Do you think that spreading could possibly happen? It could. I mean, there's no way of finding out. But why are we taking a chance of saying, well, let's err on the side of caution and believe that they're not? Who knows? And I see that every day. And I worry about them. I worry about our workers, really. Because why? They come to work every day, they go home. I just hope and pray they don't take nothing home with them. That's all.
I worry, Charlie, like you. I worry about everybody that's here. I worry about everybody in our state. And it's 8 o'clock, and this thing went by quick. And I'm gonna just do my closing, Charlie, and then you can wrap it up afterwards. But I just want to say this, Charlie, because you bring up a really good point, and it kind of goes to what I was saying earlier about the testing. We hear from every single leader, whether it's state, county, whatever, every local mayors, everybody's saying about how we're being overrun by the tourists. I couldn't believe when I heard one of our state leaders say that they didn't realize that we would get this many tourists so quickly. Okay. I never know I would get diarrhea if I ate I ate the whole box of X-Lax, I really didn't think I was gonna get that much diarrhea. No, you should have known. I sorry, Charlie. They should have known. We saw it coming, but that's what they really wanted. But this is my point. Everybody across the state is saying about how we're being overrun, we get too many tourists. We weren't ready. We don't have the workforce back into work. Experiences aren't being good, as you just pointed out. So wouldn't it make sense, right? Because you know that the state does not want to implement testing because it's going to inconvenience the visitors and it may decrease the people coming in, which is really what we want right now because we don't have the infrastructure, the human infrastructure in place to give these people a good vacation. We just don't have it. So wouldn't it be? Doesn't it make sense, Charlie, to number one, for the safety of our people, our residents, our families, our kupuna, our keiki, to implement the testing now? Because you know what? You're going to get the byproduct of a reduced number of people coming in, which means you can kind of settle things down. But that's a byproduct of the safety of our people, not the other way around. No, we got to think about the safety of our people first and worry about the visitors later. See, $100 test ain't going to stop a visitor from coming to Hawaii. Most of them are still going to come. But what we will have, the assurances that they're coming in and they're tested. And the ones that are positive ain't getting on that plane. And the ones that think they're positive ain't going to get on the plane because they're not going to pay for the test because if they have symptoms, which means they're going to cancel or postpone their trip. It will work. But our state will not even talk about it. But that goes hand in hand with the issues we're having with the amount of people coming in. I think it's a win-win, but you'll never see it happening from this administration, which is shameful. So that's my closing thoughts, Charlie. I'm just going to turn it over to you to take us home because I'm exhausted.
Hmm. Well, as always, I'd like to say thank you to our viewers. Thank you to everyone that came on tonight, expressed your mana'o with us, watching a lot of the comments. Again, safety is key. It's just baffling that we have a lot of times, if you think about it, we go hiking, right? The camp leader, take the Boy Scout, camp leader goes, they'll cut a trail to minimize the dangers, right? They'll cut the trail. They'll cut the branches down so it doesn't poke your eye. They'll cut down the tall thicket in front of you so you can see the path so you can let the young ones hike in relatively safe. In this case, with this, what's happening? Nobody is trying to mow down this vaccine so we can coexist with it. All they're telling us, get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. Okay, people getting vaccinated, but people still getting sick. Just getting vaccinated is not the answer to this all. There's got to be some order put in place, and right now there is none. And like I said, if you're a politician that has all the amenities made available to you, you're gonna talk the way you talk. You don't have to drive. You get drivers for you. You don't have to worry about people getting angry. You got security around you 24/7. You have access to the best medical care because you were elected. But what about the rest of the people out there? Come on, you know, it's some people that just legitimately are just tired and they're just hanging on. But we ain't making things any easy for them by front loading this virus because everything that our politicians have said, we should have seen this virus go down. There is no doubt about it because that's what they said. You get vaccinated, it goes down. And so I say it again. If that's the case, why is it going up? You haven't answered my question yet. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. You said it several times that this thing is going to go down. It's gotten worse. And so now some people are backpedaling on the news, trying to minimize, but we still, you look at even the mayor of Honolulu now, he's slightly changing his tune. He's getting second thoughts. But hey, he's the mayor. He can do whatever he wants. All I'm saying to you folks out there, who are practicing safety continue to do so. Because I don't know when this mess is going to slow down. I don't know when this nonsense is going to stop. But this is Uncle Charlie and Uncle Mel going to keep our faces on this media to make sure that we get the word out. We wanted to talk about this spread because these were huge numbers. We've never seen it like this before. These were huge numbers reported. And it's only going to get, and one person said it earlier, it'll only get worse before it gets better. I hope that person is wrong, but I think they're right. I think they're right because all indications right now is leading us in that direction. So just make sure you stay safe. If you live in a neighborhood that got a lot of kupunas, make a friend, go knock on a door, see if they're okay. Because when this thing starts moving, it's going to move fast. And you talk about the tidal wave on how fast it moves under the surface. Well, this variant is going to move fast. So let's use all the precautions in the world. Okay, Brother Mel?
Right on, Charlie. Thank you very much. We'll be back on Monday night. You guys have a great weekend. If you're on Oahu, you're on Maui, you're on Kauai, and wherever you're at, hey, make sure you keep your loved ones safe. Share the good words, and let's take it upon ourselves to do what we got to do. All right, guys. You guys.
A Friday, no work till Monday. There you go, brother.
You got it, man. Hey, you know what we'll do, Charlie? I'm gonna grab the ukulele. Not this week, next week. I gotta go learn that song, and let's do that, bro. We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it, and that'll be our closing. That'll be great for the podcast too. So, anyway, guys, you guys stay safe. God bless. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We love you guys.